Let me know when Mansion's on the line. Okey doke. Let me know when Mansion's on the line. Okey doke.
442-2900 or visit us at GellnerLaw.com.
We'd like to help.
Today is the day to visit your Toyota dealer and save big on the car, truck, or SUV you've been dreaming of. Like an off-road ready 2020 4Runner or a rugged 2020 Tacoma, both with $1,000 cash back from Toyota. Or go with a stylish 2020 Corolla or adventurous 2020 RAV4, available with all-wheel drive, and get up to $1,750 cash back. Or take $2,000 cash back on a sporty new 2020 Camry. You can even drive away in an all-new 2020 Highlander with seating for up to 8 and get $1,500 cash back. Visit Toyota's official website for deals, buyatoyota.com, for more great savings, to check out inventory, and to find a dealer near you. All to help make buying or leasing your next Toyota easy and affordable. You can take cash back or apply to a down payment. Offers exclude TRD Pro models and hybrid offers vary. See your dealer for details. Don't wait, because today is the day to go see your Toyota dealer. Offers end September 30th. Toyota.
CA House Music has all the gear to make your music legendary. With all the best gear, including Fender, Epiphone, Yamaha, and more, CA House will have you rocking in no time. Get the most for your money with everyday low prices. And we meet or beat internet pricing. Play before you buy and let our product specialists help you pick out the instrument that's right for you. CA House Music, supporting local music.
Okay, is it going to be all right? Okay, good. Okay, sounds good. Thanks.
5. Partly cloudy overnight, 48 for the low. Mostly sunny for your Tuesday, with highs in the mid to upper 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of this station or its sponsors.
Live and local in the Ohio Valley, this is the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Well, what are we talking about today, this Monday edition of the Watchdog Morning Show? Ohio County kids are back in class today, not remote learning, but in-class learning. The official DHHR map has Ohio County as orange, but the West Virginia Department of Education map keeps us as yellow. I've got some thoughts on that. You can expect me to rant a bit. I still think it's a complete lack of leadership and total confusion as to what's happening with these color-coded maps. We'll talk about that. Marshall County has had to go remote at 2 separate school buildings because of teachers having developed positive tests for COVID. Wheeling Hospital becomes part of the WVU medical system. Coming up in a bit, we're going to talk with Albert Reich, the head of WVU Hospitals, about what we can expect from this new arrangement. In only a minute, Senator Manchin is going to join us. We'll also talk about the Coal Association objecting to the Brooke County proposed gas-fired power plant. In the D.C. Digest, Donald Trump says he will negotiate a third term. which suggests he maybe hasn't read the Constitution much. I don't know. We'll get into all of that coming up here. If you have something on your mind, use the text line 304-214-1600, 304-214-1600. It is the Watchdog Radio Network text line. You also can use the CityNet hotline from time to time when we have time for you at 304-232-TALK. Weather-wise, still foggy outside my home studios. It's still overcast, but it's starting to try to clear up a little bit. Zach says the clouds will clear up as we head to the afternoon. We should be a sunny afternoon. It's going to be very fall-like, though, temperature-wise. Only 73 for the high today. Currently 61 degrees at the Wheeling, Ohio County Airport, and 59 degrees here at my home studios in the Elm Grove section of Wheeling. Let me welcome back to the program U.S. Senator Joe Manchin. Senator, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Howard. I hope this is much better than what we tried last week. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, it's, these things happen. Believe me, Biff and I are used to. We're used to talking a lot. So
different times. I know that different times create different problems.
Exactly right, Senator. When we talked last week, though, it was the day of the COVID bill vote in the Senate. You had said you were going to vote no. You did vote no. All Democrats voted no on it. And indeed, that bill did not. Well, that's true. Absolutely right. And that bill did not move forward. What happens next with that COVID relief bill now, or is there any next to it?
Well, here's the thing, Howard. If you go back to the past history, what we did, starting this past March the 6th, the first time we got any types of concern that we had a pandemic coming our way, and we were told, and we put $8 billion, and we passed it 96-1 in the Senate. And then on March the 18th, knowing the severity of what was happening, and we had to get money out to the front lines, we passed another bill, 90-8, $192 billion. That was all done totally bipartisan. Everyone met together. Everyone came in agreement. Let's do this and do it as quickly as we can to try to stave off this horrible pandemic coming. Then the third bill came around, okay, and that came on to us about March the 24th, another week later. And that's when Mitch McConnell and myself got into debate on the floor, and I said, there's nothing in there. There's very little in there for hospitals on the front line. There's nothing in there for the cities or for the states that have to fight this extra cost of trying to keep their people safe and the first responders. So we fought, and then by the 27th, we got a compromise. So the 24th, he puts a bill out like he did on his own, like he just did this past Thursday, and there was no debate whatsoever. It failed, and then we came back 3 days later and passed a bill, $2.7 trillion, which was a large COVID bill. Now we have a bill. And here's the only thing I would ask all your listeners. If before we left in August, first of all, we should have never recessed in August, knowing how challenging this was and how desperate we were to make sure that we kept this economy moving and also fought off the COVID pandemic. But Mitch McConnell has control of the calendar, and we went home. When we went home, he had put a bill out called HEALS, and the bill was $1.1 trillion of everything, and we were starting to negotiate on that. We could have stayed here and negotiated and probably got a deal fairly quickly, but we didn't. Now we come back 4 weeks later, and he puts another bill out for less than half of that, $500. So he cut out. And the skinny bill basically, the education funding that we needed, he put stipulations, and it's in the fine print. If anyone reads the fine print of the bill he puts out. So for those counties in West Virginia that can't go back because of the map, and I know you're going to talk about the map later. I've got a lot of problems with that map. But anyway, the map says, okay, you can't go back to school. It's going to be all distant learning. Well, first of all, we don't have good connectivity, internet connectivity, and that needs to be done. So we're losing a lot of kids without education, Howard. But anyway, he's going to send them back. But you know what happens in the bill? The bill basically holds money back from counties or states that don't go back in classroom settings. I agree that you should be in the classroom any way humanly possible, but not at the expense of all the people that work and all the kids that could be carrying it back home to their families. But with that, you need more distancing, more protection, and everything that should be in proper planning. That hasn't been done. But anyway, they would have penalized them. So $25 billion for hospitals. They had that on the last, and they have nothing for hospitals. This is for the rural hospitals. We just know about Wheeling Hospital now, and I'm very happy that this has happened, this merger between WVU and the diocese, which is going to give us health care in the Upper Ohio Valley, and I'm hoping that's going to happen. I think it'll secure a good, but there's nothing for opiates. They had opiate funding in there before, took it out. So there's so many things that we were missing. There's no broadband or telehealth. There's nothing for homeless youth or helping our kids. These are things we want to debate. So we'll go back to this evening and hopefully start the debate. I've been talking to my Republican colleagues, and a lot of them want to do something too, but I think right now it just seems to be political posturing.
One of the things that I'm hearing from teachers across the state is that although the words coming out of the state are that they're providing adequate supplies for teachers and PPE and so on, individual teachers are saying they're not getting what they need to keep themselves safe in the classroom and to keep the students safe in the classroom.
Well, that's what we've been hearing too. But that $1.25 billion that the March, and this was the March 27th bill, sent every state, no matter how small they were, got at least 1.25. That was $150 billion that I had fought for, and every Democrat supported until we got Mitch McConnell to go back to the table and put that in. So the state of West Virginia got $1.25 billion. But the thing of it is, 45% of that money was supposed to go to all the counties and municipalities. So Ohio County, the city of Wheeling, should have got a portion of that. That's about $540 million that would have been distributed. And that would have been able to help their boards of education and everyone else. And that's exactly what it was for, Howard. It was for basically the cost of the COVID-related expenses to keep your people safe. And to be planning way back in March or the 1st of April, dispersing the money, making sure you could open up and do things in a more systematic way than what we're doing now. And then waiting till a week before you go back. And then Governor Justice thinking, well, this is what we're going to do, how we're going to do it. That just doesn't make any sense to me. There's proper planning and being prepared. And that didn't happen.
You and I have talked before about your concerns over broadband, and this is not new. I mean, this is a concern that you've had for quite some time. We all have had for quite some time. It's coming to the forefront now because we need it in order to do this remote education. And that's a job. I mean, I think one of the New York Times, one of the national newspapers did a story about West Virginia being unable to do remote learning because of so many gaps in our broadband system.
Well, we've been talking about this for quite some time, and I will say that Democrats and Republicans have been trying to work together, and I've been working with John Corner from Texas. They've got the same problem that we have. I mean, in remote areas where there's not a lot of people, the companies aren't going to go in those areas because to make an investment and get a return on your investment is not as lucrative as it would to go into a more populated area. Well, West Virginia is kind of all distance and remote, and we don't have large pockets of where you get big returns on investment. So this is where the government has to step in, the same as it did in the 1930s when they had rural electrification. We believed it was necessary for our country to be the country that we are to make sure that everybody had access to electricity. Well, in the 21st century, I think it just holds true that every person should have access to internet. If not, we're not going to be able to compete on a level with other states or other countries or other economies. So that's what we're fighting for. But, the FCC released a list of companies on this past Tuesday, just this past Tuesday, that has completed their applications. And, the governor made us, was it a week ago now, or maybe a little more than a week ago, made it appear, the appearance was that we have $760 million waiting for us to go get it. Mm-hmm. Well, first of all, these are, well, I'll do everything I can to get every dollar I can for the state of West Virginia. But we have to be systematic at how we do it. We've been fighting the federal government, or the Federal Communications Commission, that their maps are wrong, and we're not going to fairly target it, but we know. And on the other thing that we've targeted is it's more costly in West Virginia to build internet services and deliver internet services because of our topography, our terrain, and things of that sort. It makes it much more costlier. So we needed what we call a rural offset concerning so much money should be set aside that had to go into rural areas, and also a high cost offset If you could show and justify that it costs more to build towers or to get internet into different places, then there will be an offset for that too. So it wouldn't be a detriment as we bid. Reverse auctions work this way and this way only. The low-cost bidder that delivers more services to the people at a lower cost per capita is the one that wins. Well, we very seldom ever win it. We don't have one company that's completed in West Virginia that's completed their application. Now, I'm hopeful that they're going to do that, and they will complete. They have until September the 23rd, which is coming quickly. But as of today, we don't have one that's eligible to even compete for the money, let alone for the governor to make people believe that it's our money just waiting to be sent to us.
That's an interesting perspective, which I had not really heard before. So we don't have a single company that actually has, at this moment, today on September 14th, completed the application to be part of this.
Now, we looked last Tuesday on the FCC. We looked at FCC's report last Tuesday. There was none as of last Tuesday. I'm hoping maybe this week we'll have one or more than one that we'll be able to complete. And I'm hoping that the governor wants to basically make sure that we extend the cap and we can backfill or basically guarantee to the FCC that the financial capabilities there, if the company doesn't meet up to their expectations, and the state will fill in and be responsible. That's what he wants to do.
Talking to Senator Joe Manchin this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. A couple of real quick other things I want to get into.
Sure.
And you opened the door to this, so I'm going to ask you your opinion since you said you have one. What do you think about this color-coded map that we're using, which seems to be getting more and more confusing each week as it comes out?
I know, it goes from yellow, green, yellow, orange, red. Is there any color on this? Okay.
No,
in that neighborhood, yeah. And what gets me is you go to red, you're basically shut down completely. You go to orange, and then you can have extracurricular activity in schools, but you can't participate competitively. All this kind of stuff is so confusing to where kids have, parents have a choice to either virtual or send them to class. And then if it goes to red, they have no choice whatsoever. They must stay home. And on and on and on. What we should be doing is targeting the areas where we know we have our greatest. But if you don't do the testing, if you don't stay ahead of this, then you're not going to be able to keep people safe. And the first thing I would do, find out what other countries, find out what Canada's doing. How are they able to get it more correct than what we have? What did they adhere to that we haven't? What have they paid attention to? And basically, what were they able to have assistance from the federal government to the local provinces? All these types of things here, Howard, there's a way to do this, but it can't be always politicized. You can't just ignore science and ignore healthcare professionals. And I know the president does this on a daily basis, and it's extremely dangerous and it's extremely challenging and frustrating, but that's not what leaders do. I mean, we should be adhering to the guidelines of the CDC. We should be adhering and not being compromised, basically, because of the political pressures that the president or anybody else in politics or governors are putting on. Everybody wants to think everything's normal, but they're not making. They haven't prepared for it, Howard, is what I'm saying. They just haven't prepared. One of
the problems we're seeing here in Ohio County just this weekend is when the DHHR map came out, Ohio County was orange. Orange means no football, basically, among other things, and all remote learning. Except later in the day, when the Department of Education came out with their own map, it's different, and Ohio County was yellow, which gets really confusing. What map are we supposed to pay attention to? And again, I think I'm going to steal a word from you. This goes back to the leadership. There's got to be greater leadership on this and a greater sense of consistency for parents and students and teachers to know exactly what's happening here. Saturday, much of the day, everybody was concerned because Ohio County went to orange, which meant we were going to go into remote learning. And by the time the Department of Education map came out in the evening, it was yellow, and everybody had to revise their plans again. There's something not right about that. I don't know what the answer is, but there's something not right.
Well, here's something you can evaluate, and it doesn't take really a rocket scientist to figure this one out. Remember when Governor Justice said that, a week before school started, if you have all your football players tested, then you can play. That was like on a Monday or Tuesday. Well, we can't even get results back. And okay, but if he said, if you got everybody tested, then we're going to go ahead and let you play because we're getting so much pushback because people want to play ball. And then the three counties that he said that to, I think it was Logan and I think it was Kanawha, and I forget what the other one, it might have been Putnam, I'm not sure.
Might have been, I can't remember. But yeah.
That's right, right, yeah. Anyway, he said those three counties. Guess what? All three superintendents of education in those three counties says, no, thank you, we're not going to do that. Now, how could you come make a statement about education, about extracurricular activities, and not even speak or not even talk or confer with the people in charge of the county's education system? That tells you everything of a lack of preparedness, lack of leadership, and what's not going on. You can't have this thing in a silo and just come up and, as you're walking on stage thinking, this sounds like a good idea, I think I'll throw that out today. We see that doesn't work, and people are basically totally, absolutely upset and have a right to be that there's not a proper preparedness. They should have long-term plans, knowing exactly what needs to be done, and taking every precaution you can to keep people safe. This is still dangerous, and now we have a flu season coming on. We've been warned that this could be a double whammy. It is fall. So people getting their flu shots now, getting prepared for the fall. And also on top of that, having COVID still raging until we get a vaccine or an antibody.
Senator, I only have a minute or two left with you. And
sure.
I want to there's one other issue I really wanted to get into. You and I have talked about it before. Your ongoing concern about the U.S. Post Office, and in particular about the politics being played by the Postmaster General. You and some other senators have introduced a bill to try to remove the politics and partisanship out of the position of Postmaster General, right?
Correct. Yeah, we don't think that position should be political. It never has been before, but it was always common sense that prevailed. Getting the best person to be non-political, basically, and make decisions on how we deliver public service. And that's exactly what the post office is. It's a service to the public. It's not a fee for profit. We know that. It's never been from day one. And the bottom line is they've made a lot of changes. I'll give you a perfect example. Over the years, we used to have 9 sourcing facilities in West Virginia. 9. We're down to 1. The one we have right now is in Charleston, West Virginia, and it serves 6 states. It serves all of West Virginia except up in your part of the state, the northern panhandle. Pittsburgh serves most of the panhandle up there.
Right.
Anyway, Howard, we made a decision. There's 17 sourcing machines there that source all the mail that comes through, just the regular letter mails. They shut 3 of them down. And on top of that, they shut another. We had 4 of the flat packages. They shut one of them down. 25% was offline. Now, once we brought it to their attention, and he's making these decisions, and it all happened from July to present day, then he said, okay, we're going to stop. We're not going to take any more off. Guess what, Howard? They did not even give the local management, the local person who's in charge of those sourcing centers, the ability to make a decision to put those machines back online if the demand is warranted. They have to get permission before they can put those 3 back. And I says, my God, common sense, let the people run. They've always been responsible for getting the mail on time. Let them do their job. And we, to this date, still do not have the authority, the local management, the authority to put machines back online. That's the kind of craziness that we're dealing with in a political world. It's been hyper-political, if you will.
You have spent some time visiting post offices around the state. What are you hearing from the employees themselves?
They know that there's been a slowdown, an intentional slowdown. They know that they're not getting the mail out the way they have always done it, and the high priority they had to get your mail, depending on how the mail was sent, to get to you on a timely basis. And it was done. They said that they could see it happening as soon as the Joy came in and put some of these provisions in plan. In play, and it just made a difference of how they're getting the mail out. And they're saying that basically, with the fall season coming on, and also with all the packages being shipped through the mail because of COVID, and people are shopping differently online, there's more packages coming through. But we know with the mail-in ballots, here's the thing: the president wants you to believe that they're just randomly, everyone's getting sent a ballot, okay? And there's going to be so many ballots floating around, there could be fraud going on. First of all, I want you to know there's a $10,000 fine, 5 years in prison. No questions about it. If you do fraudulent voting on the mail. Then you have mail fraud on top of that, which is even worse. That's a felony. So what we're saying in West Virginia, this worked, and we have a Republican Secretary of State, but even the Republican Secretary of State, we did mail in a request to mail in absentee voting for the primary. It worked. We're going to do it again for the general election, as most states are. It works. The states that do overall just mailing ballots out to every citizen, I think there's 6 states in the nation, they've been doing it for quite some time. Ohio is one that's been very aggressive in mail-in voting, and they got a governor, DeWine, who's a Republican. And they're having to fight within their own party about, wait a minute, don't scare the bejesus out of people. This is going to be secured and safe. The president is setting up a scenario that if he loses, there's going to be doubt. And he wants to cause, I don't know, he's just setting up for violence. And I'm so concerned about our country. I hope people see through that. I hope they react differently. If you want a ballot, please contact your county office, whatever county you live in.
Yeah.
Let them know you want an absentee ballot. They'll send it to you. You fill it out and send it back, and it will be counted.
Send it back early, though, because I'm still not comfortable with what the post office may be doing. So if you're going to get an and I intend to do mine by absentee. As soon as I get it, I'm going to fill it out and get it back.
You still have early voting, too, Howard. You still have early voting.
Right.
So you can go in person early and vote. So do that, too. That's what I always do.
Yeah, I'm very COVID shy these days. I'll be honest.
Okay, I got you. Well, and you know what? That's why
I'm not out in public very often anymore. That's why I do the show from home these days, because I'm in some of these high risk categories, and I don't want to chance it. Hey, Senator, I know I've kept you too long. I appreciate your time, as always.
I owe you more than that. I sure do. And you've been so kind, Howard, and I appreciate it. I'm sorry we messed up the last time. Let me say this one thing, and I want people, and I know West Virginia still seems very supportive of Donald Trump, but I want you to think about this. And the president keeps saying about law and order and all the things we see going on across the country and all the divisiveness, all the hatred. And he says that law and order, if Joe Biden gets elected, this is what Joe Biden's America will look like. And I would say, Mr. President, this is your America now. This is what it looks like under your leadership. This is why we want to change. This is why we should change for the sake of our country, for the sake of democracy. This is why we need to change.
I couldn't agree more. And he's perpetually talking about what might happen under Biden, which he misinterprets that anyways. But let's forget about what might happen under Biden. Let's realize what's happening right now under Donald Trump.
You're exactly correct. We know what Donald Trump's America looks like, and this is something I am completely not satisfied with and not comfortable with, and I'm completely concerned about democracy in my country as we know it.
Good. Hey, Senator, thanks for your time. We will do it again soon. I appreciate it today. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Howard. Appreciate it. Tell everybody we said
All right, talk to you soon.
Bye-bye.
All right, thanks a lot. Appreciate it.
Bye.
All right, U.S. Senator Joe Manchin checking in this morning here on the Watchdog Morning Show. He was with us last week. He got on late. We're not quite sure what happened there. Somehow, some way, he got on late and couldn't get through, and then had a bad connection, and so we revisited that interview a little bit more today than we did on Thursday, I guess it was, of last week. So I appreciate him giving us the time this morning to talk about actually a wide range of things, everything from the map to broadband to the Postmaster General to talk about, of course, the COVID relief bill. U.S. Senator Joe Manchin. Coming up next hour, we're going to be talking about the WVU Medicine and Wheeling Hospital merger. What's that going to mean? Albert Wright from WVU Hospital Systems is going to join us to talk about how it came about and what it means here in the Upper Ohio Valley. And coming up in a couple of minutes, speaking of Donald Trump, apparently he hasn't read the Constitution because he thinks he would like to negotiate a third term. We'll talk about it coming up on the Watchdog Morning Show.
The WTRF Channel 7 News Update is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Now it's time for your local news.
2018 when they put 56 up against the Oklahoma Sooners. West Virginia ends the game with 329 rushing yards, first time that the Mountaineers have gained at least 300 on the ground since the 2016 game against the Baylor Bears. But still, plenty to work on for West Virginia. They'll try to do that this week. That is today's Mountaineer Report, brought to us by Kroger, the official grocer of WVU Athletics. I'm Tony Caridi on the Mountaineer Sports Network from Learfield, IMG College.
Highland Sports Complex is the coolest destination for sports and entertainment the Ohio Valley has ever seen. Pop in for some open basketball in our field house or reserve some turf time for your next practice or game on our synthetic fields. Online registration is open for development classes and leagues for youth and adults. Highland Sports is also the hottest destination for birthday parties and other events. So come challenge yourself on our play climb and enjoy your favorite virtual reality game in the arcade. No memberships required, so visit highlandsports.com to find your next entertainment experience and get ready to reach new heights.
Hello, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm the Storm Tracker, Darnell Foster. With a look at your local weather forecast for your start to the work week: partly sunny skies, a daytime high near 75. Partly cloudy overnight, 48 for the low. Mostly sunny for your Tuesday, with highs in the mid to upper 70s. Have yourself a great day, everyone. From the Watchdog, I'm Darnell Foster.
Thank you, Ohio Valley, for making the morning show with Howard Monroe the #1 listened to broadcast in the tri-state area. Catch Howard, Biff and Company weekdays 7 to 10 a.m. only on the Watchdog.
Conversation you care about from people you know. The Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe continues.
After months and months of delays and schedules and then COVID getting involved in it and so on, the Wheeling Planning Commission tonight, of which I am a member, will hold the official public hearing on the GC&P development proposal, which is this large shopping/living complex, mixed-use village, they call it, on top of Woodsdale Hill. Highly controversial, unbelievably controversial, probably the single most controversial issue I have dealt with as a member of the Planning Commission over my 20-plus years being involved as a Wheeling City Planning Commissioner. A lot of folks in the neighborhood of Woodsdale object strenuously to this proposal for a variety of reasons, and we have gotten dozens and dozens, probably hundreds and hundreds actually, of emails of criticism and complaint and suggesting we deny the requests that would move this project forward. Although we have also received a number of folks who are supportive of it, thinking that it's time to look at something new in the city of Wheeling, to look at new development, to look to the future, not to the past, those kinds of things. So we've gotten tons and tons of email and letters about this. But tonight will be the official public hearing. This is a legal public hearing, which means it is a matter of record. And we in the commission will listen to those folks who want to support the project or object to the project and hear their various and sundry concerns. I have my own list of issues that are of concern to me with this project that we will delve into at some point, but probably not tonight, because I want to hear what the citizens have to say. And I am looking forward to seeing if there is anything new or different that we're going to hear from either side of this that we haven't heard before. We've talked a bit about it here on the radio show. We've had guests from both sides of the issue on the show here. Again, the Planning Commission has held several lengthy discussions about it, but tonight the public hearing, it's going to be at West Banco Arena beginning at 6 o'clock. There will be a Zoom possibility. If you are still concerned about showing up in public, there is a way to Zoom into it. I believe it'll also be broadcast on Facebook Live on the city's page, so you'll be able to watch the whole thing. And I'm going to actually mask up and get out into public on this one tonight. I just can't. I'm not comfortable getting involved in the public eye these days, in the public with a crowd anymore because of my concerns over COVID. But I don't think as a planning commissioner, I feel that I would not be able to to get the full weight of the concerns raised by or the support offered by the citizens if I'm not there in person. So I will be there in person tonight with my mask on. It'll be at Westbanco Arena. It's going to be socially distant. There will be arrangements made to make sure that everybody is properly socially distanced and that masks are worn and so on and so forth. So that's tonight, 6 o'clock, public hearing. Going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. A little preview of that coming up this afternoon on the afternoon drive. Butch Maxwell is in today on the afternoon drive, and Butch is going to have folks from hopefully both sides of the aisle. I know as of yesterday he was working on getting both sides of the aisle, those who support the project and those who oppose the project, to come on the afternoon drive today to talk about it. So you can get a little preview of the public hearing, if you will, today on the afternoon drive with Butch Maxwell. And then we'll have the public hearing this evening. And I'm sure, no doubt, tomorrow here on this show we'll talk a great deal more about it. But I wanted to call that to your attention. Let's see, coming up today, statewide talk line beginning at 10. Hoppy Kercheff will have, among other guests, the State Superintendent of Schools, Clayton Birch. I hope he'll ask him about why is the Department of Education map that rules the week ahead 2 days behind the Department of Health and Human Resources map? Why is it that map, which will be defining on Saturdays, and this past weekend was on Saturday at 5 o'clock, the Department of Education map, which is different than the Department of Health and Human Resources map, but the Department of Education map, according to the Department of Education themselves, is created on Thursday. So the Saturday map only reflects numbers up to and through Thursday, and then that Saturday map is what we have to live with throughout the week. I hope that Hoppy will get into that with Clayton Birch, State Superintendent of Schools, coming up today on Statewide Talk Line. Also, some revisions a little bit in the way some of the regulations involving high school athletics, and SSAC Executive Director Bernie Dolan will be in to talk about that coming up today on Statewide Talk Line. And Tony Caridi will drop by for Metro News Sports to talk about the WVU Eastern Kentucky game and looking ahead to this weekend's game as well. So that's coming up today on Statewide Talk Line. Then at noon, we'll head to the news desk of WTRF TV for live updates of all the headlines that you need during the day. After that, Bill DeFabio apparently is away again today, so looks like some sports talk off of SB Nation. I'm guessing, Biff?
I don't know. I've not heard, but that would be my guess. And
best guess? Okay.
Yeah, best guess. That's what it'll be. I don't know, but actually, West Virginia, their bye week is this week, so they will only have.
So they won't be playing this week. Okay.
Right. They'll play the following Saturday, which would be is that the 26th? Yeah, the 26th. That'll be their next game.
Appreciate that. Thank you. So Billy is not here today, but we're probably sports talk with the SB Nation. And after that, of course, it is Butch Maxwell on the afternoon drive, as I mentioned. So check all of that out today here on the Watchdog. Can we do a quick DC Digest, Brother Biff?
Yes, we can. Once I move it. And
here's some of the news from the nation's capital you'll be talking about today. This is the DC Digest on the Watchdog Morning Show with Howard Monroe.
Now, I firmly believe I mean this sincerely, honestly, deep down in my heart, not a sarcastic comment. I firmly believe that Donald Trump is mentally ill. I think that we're watching his mental illness take greater hold in recent months. I think that he is losing it, as we say. But maybe not. Maybe he's just this great gamesman. Maybe everything is a big game to him. I don't know. I think what I'm about to talk to you about is another example of how he just literally his mind is going. So President Trump held a rally in Nevada over the weekend, not surprisingly, predicting he would win re-election. I get that. Of course, he's going to say that. Thinks he'll carry Nevada. He lost Nevada in 2016, but he thinks he'll win this time around. Okay, that's fine. He can make those predictions. I've got that. Here's what concerns me. President Trump said, quote, after that, meaning after I'm reelected, after that, we'll negotiate. Because he says, I'm probably entitled to a third or fourth term because of the way we were treated. Now, you remember, now again, Is this his mental illness really showing full force, or is this just another example of Trump, blathering on without any sense of what he's talking about, or is this a way for him to poke the press and the public? I don't know. But it's dangerous conversation. Trump had talked about this, a number of months ago when he said that he thought if he won 4 more years, he would go for 4 more. And he says it's all because of they spied on my campaign. He believes that Obama spied on his campaign. And he says, we really lost a lot of time because of that Mueller investigation, so we didn't have really 4 full years. It's not the way it works, Mr. President. And does he know that? I don't think he does. I don't think his mind is sharp enough to know that. But he wants to negotiate a 3rd or perhaps 4th term. Now, the Constitution of the United States clearly says he can't, but he thinks maybe he could negotiate on that. Negotiate that. Michael Cohen, who at one time, of course, was his fixer, and now is a major critic of of Trump's, says, do not think that Donald Trump is making a joke here. Cohen says, and he's one of the ones who's been as close to Trump as anybody has been over the years, Cohen says Donald Trump believes he should be ruler or dictator of the country, and he would like to change the Constitution if he can. Cohen says if Trump wins re-election in November, he is going to automatically, on day number 1, start thinking about how he can change the Constitution for a 3rd term and then a 4th term. So again, is this his mental illness just unraveling him even further? Is this just him trying to have some fun poking people like me in the eye? That's very possible. Or is he serious about this? Does he think he can negotiate a 3rd term because he's entitled to it? I find that whole thing to be really quite frightening. It's the only thing I had for you this morning in our DC Digest, because I think that's enough for us to cogitate upon over the course of the day today. Donald Trump wants. Now, I don't think he wins re-election. I think it's possible. I'm not saying that. I don't think that Biden is a lock. And we still have, about 100 days, I think, between now and Election Day, somewhere around that. I think about 100 days left.
Oh, no. Howard, we're about 50. No, we're about like 52, 51.
Really? Is it? I thought, okay.
Yeah, it's November 3rd.
What? Well, today's September 14th. Yeah, I guess you're right. September, October, November. Yep, you're right. All right, well, we don't have a lot of time. but anything can change. The polls right now show, and again, Howard, remember what happened to the polls in 2016? The polls were all wrong. Well, they weren't really all wrong, but nonetheless, I got it. We'll see how the whole thing plays out. We got someone off the sitting in hotline, Biffy.
Jerry
is here. Jerry, good morning, sir.
Hey, Howard, how you doing?
Let me check. All my parts are in place.
All right, last time I saw you were fine. That's a long time ago.
That's good.
The reason I called Trump making some of these comments are absolutely, I've never called in even about something political, and actually what we're talking about now is really not political. This man is at the very least, a sociopath. And as you know, I have 30 years experience in the mental health field. And there's no doubt about he has every characteristic of a sociopath. The inward kind of thinking, he really can't express or even apparently feel any empathy, and he never has any understanding of another person's view. Everything is painted from his own brush, you might say. So anyway, he keeps talking about winning by a landslide. He got beat by 3 million votes last time.
Yeah.
And it was the Electoral College that put him in. And if the new, and this would have to be done years in advance, but if hopefully the country will be taken over again by Democrats. And what needs to be done is to restructure that whole thing, really throw out the the Electoral College, which was put in by Hamilton and Adams, I think, in the founding of our country. They had a reason for that, but it may have been a valid reason at the time, but there's absolutely no reason for it now. The people should directly elect the president, which they did the last time by 3 million votes, but the Electoral College put Trump in there, and the man is not capable of...
And Jerry, it's important to point out, too, that while Trump talks about his landslide victory and how he always says things like, even with the Electoral College, why biggest Electoral College win, he barely comes in like in the top 10 of Electoral College victories, too. I mean, he didn't win the Electoral College in some kind of landslide either. He won it, but he didn't win even that by landslide.
That is so few votes that there's no such thing as a landslide. He won, I think, it takes 279. I think he had, 290, something like that. And remember, that's what happened with Al Gore against Bush.
Yep.
Al Gore beat Bush, but Bush won in the Electoral College, and the Supreme Court had to name Bush the president. Do you remember that?
Yeah, the Supreme Court stopped any further counting of ballots, so basically just let Bush be the winner there.
Yeah.
But it scares me, Jerry, and again, I know you've got some mental health background, so I'm curious in your perspective, and you've shared it with me. When I hear Trump say things like he's going to negotiate a third term, he's mentally unbalanced. I mean, does he not understand the Constitution doesn't let him do that?
The idea of the third term, you remember that was already negotiated by Roosevelt during Roosevelt's third term. And Roosevelt believed that it should be limited to 2 terms of 4 years, and that's the way it's been ever since. And that sounds reasonable to me. Now, it could be that a person could run again, if Trump wants to run 4 years from now.
I don't think that's the case. I think it's 2 terms and done. So
I think it is.
Once you finish your 2 terms, you're done.
Yeah, I don't see anything wrong with a person running again, but obviously I think you're right. That's not the law the way it exists now. So anyway, the Electoral College.
It's a scary thought. It's a scary thought what this guy is likely if he does win re-election. And again, it's possible. Right now, if I was placing a bet, I would not place a bet for it. But if he does win re-election, God help us where this country will go next, because he will at that point truly believe he's the king.
That's right.
And he already acts like it.
But here's the scary thing, a wacky possibility. I think he's going to lose by somewhere about 10 points. 8 at the least and 14 or 15 at the most in the November 2nd and November 3rd election. But what if he contests it? If he loses by 15 points, he's not going to contest it. But he wants a recount of the whole thing is ridiculous. And this is.
But anything is possible with this president. Anything is possible. Anything is possible, and unless he is crushed, and I mean crushed, and I don't think he will be crushed. Unless he is absolutely crushed at the polls, both electorally and popular vote-wise, he's going to try to come up with some way to keep himself in office.
That's right, but as even 10%, 8 or 10% is a landslide in this country. Most elections are won by 1, 2, 3%.
In a handful of percents, yep.
Yeah, I think he's going to lose by 8 or 10, and why would anybody ask for a recount? You're talking, last time he got...
Because he's crazy. He's crazy, that's why.
Hillary got 63 million votes to his 60 million. This time, there'll be more people voting. There's going to be a whole rush of first-time voters. He's probably going to get 65 or 70 million voters. But I think...
All right, Jerry, I got to run. Hitting up on the clock. Thanks for your time. It's 9 o'clock. Watchdog Morning Show. ABC is next.
You can do
The Watchdog is FM 98.1, AM 1600 WKKX Wheeling, FM 97.7, AM 1370 WVLY Moundsville.
The ABC News is brought to you by Thomas Auto Centers, Mall Road, St. Clairsville. Get the best deal at Thomas Auto Centers.
Who lives in
All right, Biffy, I'll be back in a minute. Albert Wright at 9:10. Thanks.